Yep. Yeah, we got sound. Just want to make sure. It's the only way I can tell. This little display at the bottom isn't that good. Here's the frequency in use. Very good. Here's the frequency in use. All right, this is K4PEW with the Mount Juliet Simplex Radio Net. Is there any emergency or priority traffic? A little feedback going on there on another radio. If there's any priority or some emergency traffic, please don't hesitate to jump in. Please call 911 first. If you can't do that, you can contact us. For information on this net, you can see us here right on the web on YouTube, live on live on YouTube. You can either look at my call, K4PEW, or Brain Trust, the word BRAINTRUSTS. And that's on YouTube in the search block on the top of the YouTube page. Or you can look us up on see our webpage at 146415.net, same as the frequency without the decimal, and of course the net at the end of it. Or you can go to my MJ_SS on Yahoo Groups, or you can go to K4PEW at ARRL.net and contact me directly on email. We normally meet at 8 p.m. every Saturday and Wednesday night. We've been doing it for a long time. This is about 400 and something. I forget what it was. 485 tonight, I believe it is. Well, we did one last week and I wasn't here, so that was 485, and this is 486. I missed one last week, or last Saturday, I should say. Purpose of the net is to support and train ham radio operators. Of course, we're on 146.415.415 FM Simplex, and as they have fun, to help people get their systems up, ready, and running, and see who they can hear and who can hear them, and ultimately it leads to great operators and better operators for emergency communications if there ever need be any. We invite everyone to use the net for this net for announcements or education opportunities or meetings or Hamfest or whatever. Does anybody have any announcements for the net?
KB4 SFM.
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
The next Wilson Amateur Radio Club meeting will be Saturday, 1st of June at 6 p.m. That'll be in room 122 at Lamprey Hall at Cumberland University. And Hamfest this year will be Saturday, the 27th of July. 27th of July, that'll be at Wilson County Fairgrounds. Back to net control, KB4 SFM.
Very good. And that is 6 p.m., right, for the meeting on Saturday on June the 1st?
It is 6 p.m. I'm sorry, it didn't give the time.
No, I think you did. It's the 1st of June for the Wilson Amateur Radio Club. That's at 6 p.m. on the 1st of June. Of course, that's a Saturday. It's in room 122 of Lamprey Hall. I believe that's Lambry. And that's at Cumberland University in Lebanon. If you don't know where it is, look it up. I'm not giving you the address. And also, we've got the Ham Quest coming up on the 27th of July. It starts at 8 a.m. and be there early so you don't miss any deals. First, the 27th of July for Middle Tennessee Ham Quest. All right, appreciate it, Tom. Any other announcements? All righty. The announcements, of course, Tom forgot to mention. You may have a net. I don't know if he's going to do net control. Have a net tomorrow night. That's Thursday night, 8 p.m., 147.105 with a plus offset and a 156.7 PL. Anybody need any fill on those or have additional announcements? Don't get nothing. All right. Let me double check something here. Okay, we're starting from the north tonight. We don't have any other announcements. I'm going to jump right into it. I have had multiple, I don't know how many multiples I've had, but I appreciate all the condolences I've had about my mom and my mother-in-law over the last crazy 2 Mondays in a row. I lost my mother-in-law, and then we lost our my mother on Monday over at hospice, but it wasn't as if it was a surprise, really. It's been going on, and of course, I've been having direct care of her in many ways. Well, in most ways, actually. I was like her caretaker and message taker and mail person, and you name it, I was doing it for her. But anyway, so I knew it was expected. It's a loss for me, and I'm not trying to minimize that. The grief comes in pieces because so many things, even today, I was looking through Ancestry.com about some stuff, and I said, boy, I sure do need to ask my mother. And I realized I can't ask my mother anymore. So it's kind of got a big chunk of information, and a big chunk of my life has been removed. And just as I don't ever, if you get an opportunity to do something like I did, take it. It's a lot of work, but it's also it's very gratifying. I had, besides this 2.5 years when I lived in my hometown, I lived in her home for 2.5 years back in 2009 before I came to Tennessee. And so I had, out of the last 10 years of her life, I had 5 years living in the same household with her. So hopefully I was a blessing to her, and I believe very strongly she was a blessing to me in more ways than I can imagine. So anyway, don't hesitate to jump in there if you have to take care of one of your family members. All righty, we'll go ahead and start taking check-ins. But you don't, if you feel like giving condolences, good, but it's not necessary. I feel very consoled by the condolences I've heard so far. So I appreciate all of them. If I seem a little, I don't know, I don't feel like I'm indicating too much grief, but at the same time, I don't want to appear glib either. I mean, the loss of my mother was a big thing for me. I mean, she was 90, going on 92, and had her for all those years. And I'll be 70 next month. I was hoping she'd at least make my birthday and make her feel worse, because she says, I can't believe you're going to be 70 in June. I said, well, you're the one who had me. It's nobody to blame but yourself. All right, let's move on. Anybody? We're going from, what did I just say? The north now. North, please come now.
Romeo Victor, Quebec.
Hello, Brent. Sound good. How you doing?
Pretty good, Paul. Pretty good. Well, like I said, glad you're handling things good, and been there and done that, so I understand what you're going through.
Oh, yeah. By the way, I forgot to mention, I appreciate Eddie for handling that Saturday night. I had spent Wednesday through Sunday, better parts of every day over there with my mom, helping feed her and kind of just sitting with her, and saw the decline. So yeah, appreciate it, Brent. Everything all right on your end?
Yep, doing well. Now running around, got hot, came home.
Yes, that's my wife said. It's already disgusting outside. And I said, yeah, it isn't even summer yet.
Yeah, man, we have not had a spring.
Well, that's what she said. I said, you missed that one day. It was kind of cool.
Wow.
I know it. Very good, Brent. Good to have you in there. Sound great. That's Brent. Kilo Echo 4 Romeo Victor, Quebec, and he's in Northwest Wilson County. Who else we got? Good to have you there in there, Brent. Who else we got? North, please come now. Well, that's a handful. Anybody else north before I move on?
WB0NLO. Good evening, Paul.
You're just leaving space for others, are you, there, Mark?
Well, usually I double with somebody a couple of times before I get in.
Yeah, no, I understand. Everything going well? Your signal sounds fantastic tonight.
Yeah, going well. And sorry to hear of your mom's passing. And something I guess we all have to do as we get older, but it doesn't make it any easier.
No, it does not. When I left my mom at the hospice center late Sunday, I can't say I knew it was coming to an end, but when you have somebody who's 100% non-responsive, just breathing, and she couldn't hold my hand, so there was no reflex, and she didn't respond to my hearing, my voice. She didn't respond to like trying to feed her a little bit, putting something she likes on her tongue, just a taste of something. Nothing. And I said, well, it's not too far down the road. And that's one of the things that I realized, that if it was a sudden death, I would say I'd really be, I'd be shocked. But in this case, I knew it was coming slowly for a long time. So I know how they appreciate the remarks. By the way, I changed. I didn't mention also, Mark, you didn't notice. I'm showing SWR on my signal, and everybody else has got a signal report on theirs.
Okay, well, I'm not watching it tonight. We have been involved in a remodel, and we're a week into it, and probably have another 2 to go. So I'm living in a dust pile over here. I can hardly find the computer because of all the drywall dust.
So I presume somebody else is doing all that drywall.
Yep. Not me. I've done it before, but not this time.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll tell you, sometime in time, by myself, if you can imagine this, I had free access to, I don't know, I forget how many sheets I had. It was left over from a project from a friend of mine. He says you can have it, and it was like they were 4 by 12-foot sheets. I carried those up the stairs to the second floor bedrooms of the house, because I built the house without the 2 upstairs bedrooms being finished, and I hung those sheets myself. I thought I was going to die doing it.
Oh my. Yeah. Well, I can't imagine carrying sheets that big. I've wrestled a few 8-footers, I think, but I don't think I ever did any 12s. And that's also been a long time ago, back when I actually could pick something up. Anyway, have a good evening, and we'll talk to you again. WV0NOL.
Yeah, that was back in the days when I didn't think I'd hurt myself by doing that kind of stuff. Now I wouldn't even attempt it. Very good, Mark. That's Mark over in Hermitage, Whiskey Bravo 0, November Oscar, with a great signal. And in the midst of construction. Who else we got north? North, yeah.
K4WK.
All righty. For those you can hear, that's Steve. He's up there just a little bit north of Bowling Green. How you doing, Steve? How's my signal to you?
Half scale. Sounding good tonight. Sorry to hear about your mom.
Oh, yeah. I'd say that's one of those things. I mean, when you go almost 70 years like I have, and of course, I'll say 60, when you're aware of those things, it might be only 50 or 60 years, you're aware that, your parents aren't going to be around forever. You don't think about it much, but, you just have somebody around that long. And most people don't have them around for 91 years. A lot of people, their parents die much younger than that. It just feels like she's led a full life, and she did have a good life. And, she was a very positive person and a good influence on me, I think. I'd say she's a better person than I am in some respects. Well, maybe many respects. But yeah, it's a loss for me. But I know she had a good life, and she knew I loved her, and she loved me, and that's good. That's all. It's all good.
Yeah, that's all you can ask for in life, isn't it?
Yeah, I used to, in those days, I would tell her when I put her to bed and turn off the light, I'd tell her I love you, and she was wearing one of those CPAP type masks, and she'd in her muffled voice, I said, I love you too. It was kind of funny the way she did it. All right, I'll catch you later, Steve. Good to hear you in there. You got a good signal tonight.
Thank you, sir. I'm not watching. I'm watching the Cubs game right now.
Well, Cubs game is more important to me. How's that? All right, that's Steve. Kilo 4 Whiskey, Kilo Uniform, and he is just north of Bowling Green in Kentucky. Usually our only out-of-state check-in. Who else we got north? Over to the west then, K4 PEW.
KM4 YRF.
Hey, how you doing there, Michael?
I'm doing fine, frog hair, Paul.
Well, frogs are too quick for me to check.
Yeah, I know. Me too anymore.
Yeah, no, we got some. I got a little frog pond in the backyard. You can see it right out the back window of my kitchen here, and the frogs. I don't know whether we got too many bugs out there, but the frogs have been growing like a weed this year.
I'll bet you.
No, they're pretty cool. I like them. They're just there's something about frogs. They're just about as cool as those Budweiser commercials used to show them.
Yeah, I used to love those.
I know, they were cute. All right, very good. Appreciate you being in there, Michael. You sound good. Did you be able to shake Mary and Marty out of the woods tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. My car died on me at work yesterday. When I drove it to work and it was fine, and when I got ready to go home, it wouldn't start. So Mary came to my rescue, and I'm driving one of their cars until mine gets out of the shop. So I appreciate that a lot.
It's good to have good friends, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah, very good. Good to have you in there, Michael. There was Michael, Kilo Mike 4 Yankee Romeo Foxtrot. He's in Belshire. Great signal, as always. And who else we got north?
Katie for OEN, and you're more than welcome, Michael, anytime. And Paul, Marty, and I both want to send our condolences to you. Just take a second here to just say that you and your wife as well have been in our thoughts and prayers, and we are just so glad to hear what a beautiful relationship you have with your mom. That makes it all just even the better to have good memories like that. So we're still thinking about you, and I will pass the mic over to Marty and hope you have a good rest of your evening.
All right, very good. Appreciate your comments, Mary. And yeah, I do struggle. I'll tell you, everybody on that probably knows themselves as well. But if I start thinking about different events in our lives or pictures that we had when we were happy together, even when I was a child, one of the pictures I really like is a picture of she's holding me when we lived in a trailer park when I was first born. Our first 3 years were in this little tiny stinky trailer park. And it wasn't really stinky. It was just a little trailer park. And just the joy on her face. And I was just a happy little kid, in her arms, probably less than a year old. And I love that picture. All right, I think Marty's up next.
Yeah, that was a pretty story. And KD4BQK.
Yeah, very good. Maybe I'll post that picture so other people can see it. Just give you an idea what because everybody's got pictures like that. I hope with their mother, where they just the joy of having a child, and I happen to be that child. She told me, I heard it recently for some reason. She was telling someone else that came to visit her, and she said that, and it came up because they said, "Oh, that's your son." Of course, they're looking at me. I'm, over twice her size, and tower over her, and they said, "That's my son." She says, "Yep," and she goes, "Yep." She said, "I thought he was the most beautiful child in the whole world," and I thought, well, I think every mother thinks that. I'm pretty sure. So how you doing, Marty?
I'm doing okay. And we're thinking about you and your mom and your wife.
Oh yeah, it's been. I would, my wife were just surprised. We are surprised. I mean, we were in control of the situation, so to speak. I mean, we were taking care of the household, but I don't know how many people can experience that. Both their mothers lived with them for a couple, 3 years, and then they have one pass away on one Monday, and then the following Monday, the other mother passes away, and we went, fucking, all of a sudden the house is empty. It's half of our people in the house are gone, and they're not coming back, and it's it's just weird. I'll put it that way. It's just very strange. It's as if, well, I think if you had children, two living at home, all of a sudden they just left abruptly, you'd go, huh, that's pretty weird. And that's what this was like. It was just so odd that they left a week apart, So yeah, we've been dealing with that idea, and it's we still don't like it. We just soon have them here, but life moves on, unfortunately, for the living. Well, no, it's not. It's fortunately, and hopefully, it's like Mary said, if you're fortunate enough to have a good relationship with your parents, the end isn't so bad. Too many people have regrets about bad things that happen. But anyway, appreciate you being there, Marty, and I appreciate Mary being there. That's Kilo Delta 4 Oscar Echo November and Kilo Delta 4 Bravo Quebec Kilo, both in Belshire, and they live right next door to Michael, who they've been helping out because Michael's car broke down. I hate when that happens. All right, very good. Who else, north or west? Please come in.
KN4 TJF.
Sounds like a pretty good signal from Rick over there.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, you're doing much better. Your signal is, well, if you go from 0 to 5 on the scale here, that's pretty darn good.
Yeah, I got the new 700 up. I was pretty happy with that.
Yeah, and your receive, I'm gathering, it must be pretty good.
It's better. I could hear Marty and Mary, hear Mark. Couldn't hear Tom or Brent, nor Steve.
Well, Steve's going to be a little tough for you because he's actually got a beam and he's pointing almost due south to me, and you're not due south from him. So I'm guessing that's why you can't hear Steve. But yeah, there's a J pole from Brent up there in Northwest Wilson, and that's the reason you wouldn't be. He doesn't have. I mean, he's got a good signal to me, but he wouldn't necessarily have a good signal to you at all.
Yeah, Roger. I'll tell you. I checked in on the short mountain repeater last night, the net. Talked to those guys. They said it was a little scratchy, but readable. They can make out my call sign, so that's not bad for about 60-something miles.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. You're going to have makes it a lot more fun when there's more people to talk to, and you're going to be able to move west quite a distance as well.
Right, and I enjoy hearing new people too, so I'm actually trying to keep a log tonight of all who I can hear and who I can't, and we'll just see what happens. Sorry for your loss, everybody is, I'm sure, and I just wanted to say thanks for having me.
Yeah, very good, Rick. Your signal sounds good. Good audio. I mean, you're not right next door, but where you are is a good stretch from me over there in Ashland City. And so I might as well say now that was Rick in Ashland City. For those of you who can, or maybe heard him for the first time, Kilo November 4 Tango Juliet Foxtrot. And if you'll make a note, if you're coming up on the air to follow him, let me know if you could hear him and how his signal is to you. It might be better to you than it is to me. Michael, your signal to you. You didn't tell me. Okay, very good. I even expected it to be better than that, but then I don't know what the terrain issues are between you and him, or him and me.
Well, he's running in the middle of a bunch of trees, and that probably has something to do with it.
Yeah, I got you. All right, very good. Good to have you in there, Rick. Again, that's Rick Kilo November 4 Tango Juliet Foxtrot in Ashland City with his brand new X700 antenna. Who else we got, West?
W4AWE.
Well, I guess he's blowing you out of the water now, isn't he, John?
Yeah, he's come up, just from memory, probably an S unit and a half, which is a whole lot, but really good signal from him. Paul, I'm sorry to hear about your mom, and losing two moms out of the house in such a short period of time is quite an adjustment to deal with. So, just take good care of yourself.
Oh yeah, no, I understand. It was funny. I was not funny, but I was sitting with my mother, and I don't remember what I was doing. I was talking to her about something, and in her room, my wife came down the hall. This was a week ago Monday. Came down the hall, and then she looks inside the door. She looks at me from the door. She walks into the doorway. Didn't have to say a word. I told my mom, I said, I'll be right back. And so then I said, yeah, she didn't even have to tell me. The look was on her face about her mom. And I didn't want it. And my mom was having a bad day. So I told my wife, I said, I'm not telling my mother right now. She's not feeling too well to begin with. And I don't think she needs to hear that bad news, because they've been living together, just same deal. 2.5 years she'd known Irene, my mother-in-law. So anyway, I didn't tell her till the next day when she felt better. Even that, it seems, I'm not saying it's an awkward situation. It's odd. It's not too often you have to tell, your mother about someone else's passing who's, she's kind of close to it. So it was a very interesting learning experience. I'll tell you, I don't want to do it again, but it was interesting.
Yeah, it's all a learning experience. It's day by day, and it takes a while. I mean, the process actually never ends, getting used to that empty room or the empty rooms. And the good side of it is the good memories never, ever go away.
No, and for me, there really aren't any bad memories of my mom, none. And her side of the family, her mother and her father and the whole brood of people on my mother's side are just wonderful people. So I've told people recently it was really a dream with that side of the family, because they were all very nice people. Yeah, and it's no, you never do get over it. I mean, I wondered sometimes in the past, like when her mother died 26 years ago, I guess it was. I thought to myself, because it was quite a loss, because she was such a great person. It's quite a loss to me personally. And I thought to myself, how does anyone get over this kind of a loss? I mean, because they're gone. It's just bam. It's, it's very final. And that was the first probably death that really had an impact on me. And then my dad's a few years later, and my mother's that are close to me. And you do get over it. But I think as you mature, it's easier, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if we ever actually get over it. I think all we do is just every day we process things a little differently, because it does sort of retilt the axis of the world you've been living in.
Oh yeah, no, I was just I was talking to again. I'd walk by her room, and I told my wife, man, it still feels so awkward that there's nobody there. There's nobody in that room. She says, yeah, no. And I go, and I wanted to ask her. I said I wanted to ask her something. And she goes, yep, that's it. I go, yeah, that's the problem. That's it. I got nobody else from that generation. Nobody left in my family to talk to about the past. It's just me and my brother, and he's 17 years younger than me, so he's no person to ask about it either.
Well, you were actually really lucky to have had those late years, to spend with her, because that's something a lot of children really don't get a chance to experience.
No, you're right, and I did get to glean a lot of knowledge from her about the history of the family, and I did some Ancestry.com, and she helped out with that, and she, up until the very end, and I mean the very end, the last, I'll say a week, she had her wits about her, and she remembered 90% of the important things that I needed to know about the family. There were some things she was a little loose on, but I think everybody was. But it's just, yeah, it's it's like I said, it's a big chunk missing now. It's funny. Now it's just me. Well, not just me, but you know what I'm getting at. Me and my wife are left kind of, now we got to figure out what we're going to do with ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, it really does just sort of kick the breath out of you, and it's maybe get out of the house some now.
Oh yeah, we were. It was funny because my wife and I never, in the last 3 years, went out alone. And so the other night, Tuesday night, maybe it was last night, we went out. No, actually, we went out Monday night afterwards. We had made some arrangements. We had to go to with the funeral director and get that arrangements made. And she said, we went out, and my wife says, man, it feels funny to be sitting in the passenger seat, because she always went out alone, and then I would go out alone. We would go out with them some time ago, we'd go out to dinner or something, or go someplace, but never alone. And so the last, I'd say, 6 months to a year, I don't know how long, but we'd never been in the car together for a year. So here she was sitting in the passenger seat. She said, this feels funny. I said, yeah, it does feel funny that there's nobody else in the car. It's just us now. It's weird.
Yeah, but you're really lucky that you both now have each other.
Oh yeah, no question about that. And I'm pretty sure that together we kind of grew somewhat with that idea, because it was, as you can imagine, taking care of two relatively not well older ladies is a task, and that was a learning experience by itself. My mother, I think you may have heard me on the air say it. I'm glad I don't have it on video, but I was helping my mother very slowly and carefully, getting her out of the bed and into a portable toilet, and she was just not feeling well, and she couldn't ambulate, and it wasn't pretty, and I had to get her dressed and changed and all that stuff. And as I was carrying her, so to speak, I was helping her probably 90%, because she couldn't hold up her own weight. And she said, as she's carefully moving and struggling, and she says, who'd have thought that you'd be doing this for me? And that was like the day before I took her to the hospice.
Yeah, I mean, I went through something sort of similar with my mom, but she got to live to a nice old age, and the other great thing was we were able to talk clearly about things up until about the final week, and but I remember her once, when she was on her walker, just sort of stopping for a minute, looking at me and going, this getting old is a hard job.
Yeah, it is. And it is, that's the other part that's hard. It's hard not to feel helpless when they're helpless. It's not to help you. You really can't help them feel better yourself, other than just being there. You can't help them well, other than the medication we had to help her feel better or not feel uncomfortable or not feel whatever, all of those health problems that come up late in life like that. And if there's a helplessness feeling there, and there's nothing you can do about it. It was kind of like I told you, when she was unable, she wasn't even talking, and even earlier in the day when she was at least moving and maybe looking at me, or she could hear someone talk, you just feel so helpless that they're in a mode of diminishing and you can't do a darn thing about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Class A person, Type A personality who's always used to being in charge of things, and that whole experience with my mom taught me a lot about patience and just slowing down, and it really gave me a different perspective on life. And it's like Kurt Vonnegut said in one of his novels, so it goes.
Oh yeah, well, you're right. I said some time ago, somebody asked, "How's it going?" I said, "Well, what I'm learning is a great deal of patience." That's what I think that's what one of the big items was, as you said. All right, very good, John. Appreciate the comments and the help on the information on your story there with your mom. That's Whiskey 4 Alpha, Whiskey Echo, and John is over in Bellevue, just southwest Nashville. Anybody else west or south? West first, west. No more west? All right, south of I-40, please come in.
Whiskey 7 Alpha Bravo Lima. I say again, Whiskey 7 Alpha Bravo Lima.
Kilo Mike 4, November Yankee.
All right, we had probably a triple in there, might have been higher, but I did hear there was Whiskey 7 Alpha Bravo Lima was in there first, and I don't remember the first name on that one.
Yeah, within on my handheld. It's been a while since I checked in. I want to send you my greatest thoughts and prayers as the reason that brought me out here has kind of come to conclusion for myself as well. So you'll probably hear from me a few more times during the month, during the check-in.
Very good. That's right, Aaron. I forgot all about you. I didn't know where you went. That's terrific. And you're on a handheld tonight?
Yes, sir. Checking in with a Zapstone ZT89G.
Very good. Yeah, I'm copying you. I'm sure there's a whole lot of people copying, but that's Whiskey 7 Alpha Bravo Lima. Appreciate the comments. That's Aaron. He's over here in Mount Juliet near Providence on a handheld. And I did hear Bill in there. There was somebody else too, but let me take Bill first. Kilo Mike 4, November Yankee. How you doing, Bill?
Oh, I'm doing all right, Paul. And sorry to hear about your news, but life will go on for you. So I'll back out of here and let other people get in there and make their comments too.
Yeah, that's very true, Bill. Life does move on, and I hate to think that. Well, I guess some people do fall apart about those kind of things. It's not that I don't suffer the loss. It's just that life is for the living, and I can't be, you can't mope around wasting time grieving on yourself. I mean, if you have some faith, you think you know where they are, and that's the way I believe, and so I'm feeling pretty good about it. And you're right. Bill, appreciate your comments. Kilo Mike 4, November Yankee, and he's in Murfreesboro with a good signal. Appreciate you being in there, Bill. Who else is in there south of 40?
Whiskey Victor 4 Delta.
Hello, how are you? Haven't heard. Did I hear you haven't been in there a little while, have you?
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Oh, I wasn't sure. I hadn't heard from you in a little while. I just didn't know if I remembered wrong or it's been my brain is fried here.
And maybe a little of both. Name here is Ken. I'm south of Smyrna. And I actually running first time little homebrew 2-meter FM, running about 4.5 watts.
So it's a homebrew 4-meter FM radio you built?
2-meter FM.
I'm sorry, I said something wrong there. 2 meter. Well, that's cool. Was it a kit or you just built it yourself?
Gentleman before, and I built the radio from scratch or from kits. Anyway, 2-meter FM, running 4. The meter's taking about maybe 4.5 watts.
Well, very good. And it's a homebrew, you said 100%. Huh? That's pretty cool. I don't know if I've met anybody who built one of those without a kit.
Well, I wouldn't want to attempt it. And I want to tell you also, Paul, sorry to hear about your loss.
Yeah, very good. And you are in Smyrna, right? Or just south of Smyrna?
Just south of Smyrna. Name here is Ken. way till November.
Now I got you. Very good, Ken. I do remember now. It's Whiskey Victor 4 Delta in Smyrna, and he's operating on a home-built, home-brewed 4-watt transceiver, which working real good. I've got a good signal on you. Very good to have you in there, Ken. Who else south of 40?
Kilo Delta 4, K1STD.
Oh, yeah, hold on there, Scott. I had Kilo Delta 4 Zulu Golf Yankee. I think that was Ed in there.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. On the net, this is Kilo Delta 4 Zulu Golf Yankee Ed. Down here in Shelbyville or outside in Shake Ray community there. Good evening to you, Paul, and my sentiments as well on your loss there, and I hope everything will go well. And one thing I might add to all what I've heard thus far is one thing you can say you've done what you could for her when she was living.
Well, for those who haven't heard, I'll give you a super brief thing. My brother and his wife, I felt, were totally incapable of taking care of my mom. They live up in Buffalo. They have a very nice house, very nice neighborhood, but they're just not the touchy-feely, taken care of kind of people. So I knew my mother didn't want to live with them, but they offered, and it would have been better technically if they were in the same neighborhood that she grew up in, a couple of miles from where, so her friends could visit her. But I overruled. I said, nope, she's coming to Tennessee. And so I tell people I saved my mother's life and I saved my brother's marriage.
I understand that. But anyway, I wanted to get in and say hello to you and pass my sentiments down to you for sure. Good evening to you, and I'll let you carry on with the rest of your net there. KD4 is EGY.
Yeah, you're almost S7 here, Ed. You're doing great.
Oh, thank you. We're running the beam. I may not be right on you there. I tried to catch you when you were talking while ago, put it back on you, but appreciate it, and I'll let you go. KD4 is EGY.
Yeah, very good. That was Ed in Shake Rag down near Shelbyville, and that's Kilo Delta 4 Zulu Golf Yankee. Who was the other station in there? I didn't write it down.
Scott.
Oh, there we go. Shows you I got a little brain freeze there. How you doing, Scott?
Oh, not too bad. And I also pass along condolences. It make me call my mother again in the morning. She's 92 herself. She's in an assisted living with early Alzheimer's, but still recognizes me and all that good stuff. And she did not want to come live with anybody. She said she'd be happier where she is.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, we could have afforded and put my mother in a nice nursing home, and she had the money, and we had the time and the money as well to help support her in that endeavor. But she would have done pretty good. She would have done fine in a nursing home. But I just knew that we wanted to take care of her. It was nursing homes can be problematic, not always. But you're right. But that's the trouble with Alzheimer's. That's the issue we had with my mother-in-law. I got to a point where she didn't converse at all. It was like she wasn't even home. She wasn't aggressive. She wasn't combative. She wasn't arguing. There was nothing odd about it other than she just declined to the point where there was not much going on. And that was the hard part, really, when she didn't recognize her own daughter.
Yeah, my mother's sister ended up being the same way. But not disease, but plus, yeah, I really didn't feel comfortable moving her from the coast of South Carolina up here. We'd have to start all over with doctors. She wouldn't know anybody. And, well, I don't know. I feel bad where she is, but I know she's being taken care of. When you get back at it, K1STD.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, they're always our family dilemmas. I just call them that, trying to figure out what's best for them and what's best for everybody else. And I know I've seen families have actually knocked down, drag out fights over stuff, that who did what or who didn't do what, and I just I wanted to avoid all that, because this doesn't matter to me as long as we took care of her properly and she was happy, for the final days of her life. So even though it was, I'll just say it could be troubling at times, just due to the attention that she needed at various times. And it was, if you once you get woken up in the middle of the night a few times, you'll know what I'm talking about if you haven't. All right, very good, Scott. That was Scott, Kilo 1 Sierra Papa Delta and he is in Laverne. An excellent signal as always. Appreciate the comments, Scott. Who else we got south of 40?
Kilo Echo 4 Sierra Yankee Victor.
Hello, Larry. Hey, listen, were you able to hear, if you've been on long enough to hear Rick over there in Ashland City?
I don't know.
All right. Hey, Rick, give us a shout out. Give you a call out and see if we can hear you over here in this neck of the woods south of 40.
KN4 TJF.
Did you copy that, Larry?
No, didn't hear it. Tell him to come back. I got my squelch on.
All right. One more time there, Rick.
KN4 TJF.
Any luck, Larry?
No, no copy.
All right. You're going to have to double the height of your antenna.
I think you're right.
Rick, were you copying Larry at all?
No, I'm getting nothing.
Okay, well, very good. There might be some terrain issues between the two of you because you've got a pretty good elevation there in Ashland City, and Larry's got a decent elevation and a tower and a nice antenna at his location. So I'm guessing there's some other issues in there. Maybe somewhat conditions, maybe terrain, but I just wondering because I know Larry's got a real good signal coming up this way, and he hears pretty well as well. All right, Larry, appreciate it. That was Larry down in Rockville. That's Kilo Echo 4 Sierra Yankee Victor. Who else out the 40?
K4 and W1 KOL.
Okay, hold on. W1, hang on 1 second. I got David in there. How you doing, David?
Oh, I'm doing all right, Mr. Paul. You are to be commended for what you've done for the moms for the past few years, and I know it's your way. And I have a query. I'd like to know if you are one of those frog lickers.
No. No, you might catch me kissing one or two. Just see what happens.
Well, you're familiar though, right?
Yes, I am. No, I'm not gonna be licking nothing that's out there in the yard.
All right. Well, hey, one of my boys comes by and plays music. Sometimes he sings that song "Frog Lickers," and you know you get a good laugh out of it. But they really do that for that hallucinogenic value, you know.
Yeah, you don't have to do that anymore. They just approved hallucinogens out there. Where was that? Colorado?
Say again, sir.
So you don't have to do that anymore. You can go to Colorado and get hallucinogens. They're legal.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. I didn't know it, but it's kind of funny. I didn't know if Tennessee frogs had that coating or not.
Well, I'll let you lick him and let me know.
No, I'll contact that better singer song, probably. Good evening, Mr. Paul. Appreciate what you do there. KI4NDN back.
Very good. That was David. Kilo India 4 November Delta November, and he is in where the heck is he? Reedyville. That's where he is. For those of you that know where Reedyville is. Glenn, I heard you in there. Whiskey 1 Kilo Oscar Mike.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing just dandy for what I got going on is dandy, and I'm happy to have acquaintances and friends here on ham radio. I think that partly the friendships I develop over the air and the thoughts and prayers of people and their concerns for me and my family keep my head above water.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, you're definitely not off this week. Definitely sorry for your loss. But I know what you mean. I had a member pass away last year, as a matter of fact, and driving up to Illinois. And oddly enough, I ended up with a ham group, and I think they talked to them the whole way up. It's kind of nice. So it was a good repeater, and it worked out well. Almost to the end of Kentucky, all the way to St. Louis.
Oh, is that right? On the same repeater?
Right there before St. Louis, I jumped to another one. But yeah, the same repeater. It's 7-county repeater, they call it. I forgot what mountain it's on, but there was a big ham club there, and yeah, once they heard the reason why I was going up to Illinois and stuff, and yeah, it was all the way from the beginning, right to the state line in Kentucky, all just before St. Louis. I talked to everybody.
Wow, that's awesome. That must be a pretty good antenna and a pretty good repeater system up there on that mountain to get that kind of coverage.
Oh, I was shocked. Yeah, I think he said it was at 1,100 feet. They call it the 7-county something. I forgot what the actual wording of it is, and I'll find it in when they shoot you an email on it. But yeah, it's a great repeater. It does really well.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, very good. Glenn, I'm trying to remember now. Let me look. I'm going to look and cheat here. Yeah, you're in Nashville. That's right. You're in East Nashville, right? Or Southeast Nashville?
straight across the lake from you.
Yep, on the other side of Percy Priest Lake. The one that so I've gone over there a couple times. It doesn't look like a lake. It looks like a shallow pond sometimes.
Depending on what time of year, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. All right, very good. That was Glenn. He's over there on the other side of Percy Priest, Percy Priest Lake. Whiskey 1 Kilo Oscar Mike. Great signal. It should be from where he is to me. Who else we got south? Please come in. Anybody else south of Interstate 40? All right, move over to the east. East, please come now. East of Mount Juliet Road.
LBA4 is not HI. Here, Bravo.
Richard, you lost again. James, go ahead.
Well, thank you. What you want to know?
No, you. It was just funny because Richard seems. I don't know whether. I think the signal you're closer, so the signals get to me faster. What do you think?
Get a good signal from you. Get 20 over S9.
Oh yeah, I imagine you do. Even with your indoor antenna, you should be doing great.
That's powerful to talk, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Well, how is Richard to you? Can you hear Richard okay?
I'm hearing him on the computer, so I don't know if I was hearing him or not.
Okay. Well, you'll hear in a minute because Richard will be there. Everything going all right for you, James, with your family?
Yeah, it's going pretty good.
Well, good. Glad to hear it. But the last thing we like is family problems, you know. But anyway, I'm glad you're doing well. That was Whiskey Alpha 4 Zulu Hotel India. Thanks for hanging in there for the other, north, west, and south. So you're coming in, hopefully not last, because I heard Richard in there. And that was James in here in Mount Juliet. Whiskey Alpha 4 Zulu Hotel India. Great signal. Who else? Richard, what's up?
Good evening, Paul. And again, I'm sorry that as what's happened has happened. But you and your missus will find your new normal. And as far as getting over it or any of that kind of thing, I don't know that you ever do. You learn to deal with it. That's what I've had to do with my parents and my oldest brother. And I was devastated when I lost my oldest brother. That's the worst I've ever had to deal with. But at any rate, I hope everything is getting better over there. I guess it's a little too soon for that, but you have been in our thoughts and prayers and continue to be. And if there's anything we can do, let us know. We'll try and do our best. But God bless you and take care of yourself, and we will see you Saturday morning. KI4SIB back to you.
Are you on the low wattage, and you're on the low wattage radio?
Yeah, I'm on the 25 watt QIT, and it's cut down to low power, and I cannot manually make it go to high power. I've already tried 5 times, but it won't let me do it. It was programmed this way by mistake, and I can't overcome it. So you're probably hearing me on about 10, 15 watts, if that.
Yeah, you're just making the meter bounce at the bottom. Now, I sent you that TYT schematic, but do try to do a program with the programming with the Chirp software. That'll get you out of the woods, hopefully.
Well, the radio, the TYT has already been reprogrammed, and it didn't help the situation a bit. So I appreciate you sending that schematic, and I don't know how they'll intertwine with one another, but I've got a friend of mine that is willing to look at it. When I tell him, in fact, I tried to get a hold of him this afternoon and got his voicemail and asked him to call me back and haven't heard from him. But at either rate, he will here in the next few days. I'm sure he's an extremely busy individual. But yeah, I'll send that email you sent me to him and let him look at that schematic and send the radio and see what he thinks. But we'll go from there. My biggest right now, I see me buying another radio at HamQuest.
Oh yeah, I forgot on the announcements. We've got forgot to announce that we got a breakfast on the 25th. I forgot all about that. 8 a.m. at Courtney's in Mount Juliet. I forgot all about it. I'll be sending out a notice, but glad you had you on the air to talk about something there. No, do try, if you download that Chirp software, there's one of the fellows, I think Danny said that the other software is crap, and Chirp will hopefully get you out of the woods for reprogramming.
Well, like I said, programming hasn't been an issue. It took he reprogrammed fine. In fact, I did a master reset on it before I took it back to the guy that programmed it originally. And he did it again, and it took the programming, but it still is not transmitting. In other words, what it won't do is A, it drags power more than it's supposed to, and B, will not do the computer offsets. I mean, the repeater offsets.
Yeah, I got you. I don't care about no stinking repeater offsets.
I understand.
I'm just kidding. Now you kind of need those if you can ever be on a repeater. You're right. Yeah, if you can, bring it Saturday, and I'll bring a laptop, and we'll see what it looks like on a piece of software. Maybe there's something that you might be overlooking.
I'll be more than happy to bring it down there. In fact, I'll bring it and a power supply, and we'll go from there. And some kind of a rinky-dink antenna I can bring with me.
All right. Well, you won't need an antenna if we're just going to do reprogramming, but you're right if you want to test it out. All right. That was Richard, Kilo India 4, Sierra Indio Bravo, with our ham clinic part of the net. We're already on the psychiatry or psychology portion of the net in grieving. But anyway, Richard, good to have you in there. Kilo India 4, Sierra India Bravo. And again, we do have that breakfast coming up. I almost forgot about it on Saturday. Who else we got east of Mount Juliet? Oh, Kilo 4. Oh, I forgot the last three. What was the last three again?
The last two, Hotel Quebec. Name's Bob, and we're about 5 miles north of Richards.
Oh, yes. I've heard you on the air before, I believe. Kilo 4, Hotel Quebec. How you doing?
Doing well. Condolences. You're in our prayers, and I know it's not easy, but the blessing is you were able to be close and take care of them for the last few years. I lost my sister last fall and flew out. She lived out in Idaho, and I made many trips out last summer to her to help take care of her. And it's amazing because of the separation over the years. It was a blessing to really get to become close to her and get to know her before she passed.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, it's often a lot of grief, I think, is the regret of not having been able, for whatever reason, to spend more time with them before they left. And I think that's one of the regrets I had about my grandmother and a couple other people. But that one in particular, if you're missing the time, you say, man, I wish I had more. And it's, I mean, we were talking about that with some relatives earlier, like yesterday about that.
Yeah, if there's any message to folks who still have their parents or their siblings, take every effort to become close and spend time with family, because you really regret it when they're gone.
Yeah, I used a silly analogy. It's the same thing I even have it now. Now, I did spend a lot of time with my mom. I kind of wish I was able to spend more, but I did spend a lot. And then the other one that's always a problem is we never take enough pictures.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I had a photography business for years. I took a lot of pictures of other people, but none of my family, or many fewer of our family.
Yeah, I got you. Well, I take a lot of pictures. Have in the past, and there's billions of pictures of others and just a few of me.
Yeah, the cobbler's son goes without shoes, right?
Well, in your case, that would be true, but I'm just a rank amateur photographer,
Yeah, very good. Well, anyhow, you enjoyed the blessings that you had, and you just have fond memories, and so our thoughts are with you. KK4HQ.
Yeah, I was actually, just as another point there, appreciate it, Bob, appreciate your comments. That's Kilo 4, Hotel Quebec. One of the things that my mother was always nervous when I picked her up, or helped pick her up, I should say. And she said, "Well, you're going to hurt yourself." I said, "No, believe me, no problem. You're not." She would weigh about 130 pounds or so. And I'm just glad that if I had been less fit, I'll just use that term, if I hadn't been active over the years, at 69 years old, almost 70, I wouldn't have been able to do those things. So I couldn't have been of good service. And in this case, it was my many years of physical activity have kept me well enough that I could be of service to her. All bets are off on others, though, except for my wife. All right, who that was Kilo for Hotel Quebec, north of Lebanon. That's Bob. Good signal. Good to have you in there, Bob, and good. Thanks for the comments. Who else we got? East, please come in. Hey, Wes, ain't heard from you in a while. Of course, I've been kind of off the air many hours, but how you doing?
Doing good. I'm actually on HD at my parents' place. You know, and I've heard most stations. I even heard Steve up in Bollinger, believe it or not.
Wow, and that's a standard rubber duck on your HD?
Yeah, it's probably 19 inches long. And I've got it kind of propped up on the car here. It tends to do better near metal. But no, it's an HD with an HD antenna.
Oh yeah, I know. I've got that similar antenna on mine as well, and they do work very well on receive. Yeah, that's cool. And you're using 5 watts now, right?
Yeah, whatever half hour.
Well, it might be 5 watts. How's that?
Yeah. All right, Paul. We'll be praying for you. 73 KE4.
Yeah, it was like a friend of mine some years ago when Bofang came out with the 8-watt dual band radio. He goes, "Yeah, 8 watts. It's 4 watts on 2 meters and 4 watts on 70 centimeters."
One way to look at it.
Very good. That was Wes, and well, he's here in Mount Juliet tonight with over at his parents' house in North Mount Juliet, and he is on his handheld on maybe 5 watts, doing a good job to me. But and he's hearing Steve up in Bowling Green, which I'm shocked, but it's pretty cool. Must be good conditions, and he's in a good location just on this side of the Cumberland Lake, Cumberland Lake. Who else we got? Where was I? East.
Jack.
Yeah, go ahead, Richard.
Hey, Paul.
Yo, I was hearing somebody there.
I can actually hear West on the handheld up here in this hole. Hey, I'm in Lebanon.
Oh, he's in Lebanon tonight. Okay, I'm sorry. No wonder you can hear him.
Never mind. I thought he was Mount Juliet.
Well, I thought he was too. When he said his parents' house, I just presumed it was Mount Juliet.
Where are you, West? Lebanon or Mount Juliet? I'm in Lebanon, up here between the rock quarry and whatever that road is behind it. Well, that's still a good shot for this snow here and thing. Y'all carry on. Just wanted to make the comment. Y'all have a good night. KI4SIV. Comment.
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
I can hear Wes here in northeast Nashville.
Did you hear that, Wes?
Yeah. In fact, I heard with Rick, I heard a very small smidge of him as well. I think he's probably the farthest. Well, I don't know. Maybe Steve is a soldier.
I think it's tougher getting over to see, because Steve's got a beam, a little beam pointed south, whereas Rick is in an Omni and he's pretty far stretched to the west. I would think his would be tougher.
Yeah, well, I'm glad I made it to Belshire. All right, 73 KE4.
Yeah, very good, Wes. Appreciate you being there. He's in Lebanon. Kilo Echo 4 Tango Whiskey India. Anybody else east? Please come in.
Okay, all right.
Hello, Stan. How are you doing tonight? Sound good.
Doing well, Paul. Sorry about your loss.
Oh yeah, no, I like I said, it's having support of friends, even though they're on the air, is a support to me, and I feel good about it. It's nice to have people to talk to. In fact, if anybody who's, and I'm not a student of Freud, but that's what Freud called his psychoanalysis. He called it the talking cure.
Yeah, you help someone talk.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, we don't have any private conversations here, so any talking we do, we might have a couple thousand people listening, so it makes it kind of awkward. Except they can't talk back if they're on scanners.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, Stan, you sound good. Appreciate the concerns and the comments. That's Kilo Mike 4, Hotel Quebec Echo. Good signal over there, Stan. Good to have you in the stands in Lebanon. Who else east? Anybody else east?
November 4, November Yankee Alpha. Good evening.
Hey, Dale. Are there? Well, I was going to ask you how many check-ins because I didn't catch how many. I was only in for a portion of both of those machines yesterday. That I just wondered how that's going.
Well, it was a bit of a light night last night. I'm thinking, if I recall back in my archives, I don't think there was any more than 4 check-ins. You, me, and a couple others. And then net control, which I guess would be 5. So that's got to be the most of it right there.
Well, for what it's worth, and I'm sure you're aware of this, when we started, and when I say we, it was just me the first night, it was zero. Okay, it was on Simplex, even though I made an announcement. And then as time went on, in the first months and months, it was less than, I'll say less than 8 or 10. I'd have to look back at my records, but we didn't average 12 until just a year ago. So now we're up in the 20s. So it takes time to get everybody in tune with what's going on.
I'm sure you're correct. Because I didn't even come online with the Simplex Net till maybe 6 months ago, something like that. I'd heard about it, but didn't experience it. I finally decided to jump in there. Of course, it's a great experience. So I hope you're right. I hope the other one picks up. We've had good nights before. It's just I know a couple of guys were sick. One had something with his granddaughter. There's always things that crop up, but it'll get better. I really do believe that it will. So I appreciate your help with sending out notices on that.
Oh yeah, no, we always want to promote ham radio operations and emergency operations and supporting the community. So it is important to me personally, and that's partly why we do the net here. It's I hate the term really, the greater good. I hate that term for some reason. Greater good of the community is to have more well-operated stations on ham radio. Now, that seems kind of obscure, but it's true. And if you can't hit a repeater, we're in deep weeds here in this area. And it's good to have that practice both here on Simplex and on repeaters to communicate with the authorities in charge around here. So yeah, no, I enjoy promoting it, and like I said, hang in there because it's like that. If you build it, they will they will come, and I'm pretty sure that'll pick up over time.
Still taking lollygaggers?
Not yet. Hold on.
Just a little bit of an uphill battle, but those things are worth it once they come to fruition. So that's about all I got from myself tonight. So I'll turn it back over to Next Troll and say good evening to everyone on the net. N4NYA. Good evening, folks.
Yeah, very good, Dale. That was Dale, November Yankee Alpha. He's over in Lebanon. He's the EC for the Wilson County Emergency Management Agency. Anybody? I had somebody else, and who was that? Was it Tim?
Yeah, I thought you done ended it up taking lollygaggers. The name of them went over top of somebody. Just now come in from working on the truck, so I'm running late. KR4AZ.
Hey, very good, Tim. No, we were just finishing up. We finished up the east side, and you were jumping in on the last of it here.
Well, you got a south then, whether you want it or not. Shady. Take care, Paul. I'll talk to you later. KR4AZ.
Yeah, we really, Tim, we don't really have any rules. That was just, it's convenience so people can remember which side of the compass they're on.
I'd forget my name if I didn't carry a wallet.
That's one reason I guess we all carry a wallet so they'll know who we are. All right, very good. You sound good, Tim. You got working on. Hope the truck's not busted.
No, one of them rut roll moments. I was changing the antifreeze, draining, filling it. I thought I bought a gallon antifreeze several months ago, and I thought I had another one just about full. And wasn't that old, so I said, well, I've got plenty, full strength. I'll just have to mix the water with it. Well, I poured the new one in there, and come to find out my other one was water. I must have been using it as a storage container, so I had to run back out and get some more.
Yeah, well, as you know, you don't need full strength, as you know, especially in Tennessee. But it's better. You're going to use all fluid, though, right? All antifreeze.
No. I mixed it. You can't get it all out of there. Mine takes about 13 quarts. I drained it, filled her up with water 3 times. Best I could get drained out of that thing was about best one time was 10 quarts. So I've got anywhere from 3 to 4 quarts laying around in there. It might have
water got in that heater coil and laying around different pockets. So I don't start off with a 50-50 mix. I about throw a gallon in there, and then that about get evened up with the rest of it. Then I'll go 50-50 from there.
Yeah, I gotcha. What you got to do is you got to pull not only the drain plug on the radiator, but you have to also pull on the bottom header. There's also usually a sensor. You pull that sensor, then you back up, jack up the back end of the truck, and get as much out as you can.
You really do. You do. Go away. The old fellow says the hard way.
No, I'm just, I wouldn't do that, but no, it sounds like you're doing a good job, though. Well, very good. That was Tim, Kilo Romeo 4 Alpha Zulu, and he is in Murfreesboro with a good signal and coming in from the south on the east side, so he's doing a good job, though. Anybody else? Good to have you in there, Tim. Who else we got? Anybody else east?
W4EBX.
Coming in last and hopefully not least. How you doing, Eddie?
Doing very well. Got a little bit of sinus problems from working outside, but hanging in there. Sorry about your loss and your wife's loss. And we had a booming 15 check-ins the other night.
Oh, yeah. Well, we didn't. One of those reasons, which that's not terrible. It's just that I didn't send out a reminder. And that always helps with a half a dozen people who kind of need the nudging. I'd be the same way. So that's not too bad. I do appreciate you working the net. They had some nice comments about what you did.
Oh, well, anytime. Just let me know.
All right. Very good. I don't think I had anything else for you. But no, I heard some nice things about you doing the net. Dan happened to like it. I talked to him quite a bit. I forget what it was, yesterday or today. I think it was yesterday. Dan, who lives down over there by Providence.
Yeah. I may start my own net on a 412 or something like that.
Yeah, on a competing frequency on the same night.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be pretty funny. It would be okay. I mean, it just would be. That's the kind of thing that gets some hams, not me. Some hams would get all irate over that, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah, I'm sure I wouldn't get many check-ins.
Well, it's one of those deals. Well, you've been around ham radio long enough, longer than me, and it's amazing the kinds of trouble that people can get into, and it's never started out usually intentionally. It's usually, it's like just bad blood between people for whatever reason. I've seen people complain about willful interference, and it was no such thing going on, but that's what they were saying it was. It drove everybody nuts.
Oh yeah, that always happens.
All right, well, very good. That was Eddie Whiskey 4 Echo Bravo X-Ray. He ran the net. I'd say he ran it for me, but he was running it for you guys. I appreciate that. It's nice to have somebody or anybody, and there are others who could do a reasonable job with the net as well. Eddie's in a good location, and he's got a good elevation and a good antenna, and he knows the ropes, I'll say. All right, appreciate it, Eddie. And then he's over in Gladeville, just east of Providence, a couple of miles. Who else east? In the lurkers, sandbaggers, lollygaggers, and scanner listeners, please come.
Richard.
Yes, Richard. Which category do you want to be in now? You can be a lollygagger tonight. How's that?
I just want to know if Mr. Day are still on the frequency.
Well, he didn't respond. Dale, are you still there? Apparently not.
It isn't. No, I'll catch him another time. I just wanted to holler at you for a second.
Yeah, very good. Anybody else, east, west, north, or south? Late check-ins, lollygaggers, lurkers, what else I forgot them. Sandbaggers, SDR, donglers, scanner listeners, preppers, and end-time survivalists. Please come. I could sit here all night, just wait. Anybody? Well, all right. Today we'll wrap up the net. And in fact, it's almost 10 after 9. I got 9:09 on my crystal controlled atomic clock here. It is not functioning at the moment on the atomic side, but it's 9:09. We'll close the net with 25 check-ins, which is a banner night for us. It's pretty normal. Like I said, the average has been in the 20s. I actually don't keep any statistics other than just writing down the numbers. So we appreciate it. Don't forget breakfast on Saturday, 8 a.m. Courtney's, North Mount Juliet Road on the west side, and it's just a quarter mile south of Lebanon Road. And they got a buffet, or you can order off of the menu, and you can just have coffee, or you can have nothing, because we get to be in a private room, so it's pretty cool. All righty, and if you got any ham questions or problems or marriage problems, we save for another time. And don't forget the net tomorrow night on Whiskey 4. That's not Whiskey 4. Whiskey Alpha. Whiskey. Dang, I can't get my names right here. Whiskey Charlie 4 Alpha Romeo at 8 p.m. on the 147.105 repeater in Lebanon. It's got a plus offset and a PL of 156.7. So I'm signing off. Anybody have any questions or late check-ins? Please come in. Very good. At 73, everybody, and I appreciate all the kind remarks and condolences and the helpful commentary / stories, and I appreciate all of them. And I really do believe that your prayers and your thoughts and your just your ham fellowship, I'll call it, helps. I don't know, because I'm actually handling this better than I thought I would. So obviously something's helping here. All right, so you guys have a great night. We'll catch you hopefully Saturday morning at the breakfast. K4PEW closing the net.
Take all. KR4AZ.
You, Tim.
Yes, sir.